to your reading. I hope you've been well and that the last 2 weeks have brought some fresh starts for you. So this is going to be your upcoming, your geoscope for the upcoming full moon in Aquarius. So this happens on the 3rd of August, and that's because the solar and the lunar cycles are a little bit out of sync at the moment. So we tend to have full moons at the beginning of the month. But nonetheless, that doesn't change the fact that full moons are about either culminations, so kind of a flowering, or they are an ending of sort. So let's get into your reading and see what either is kind of coming to culmination or what wants to be released over the next 2 weeks from the full moon during the waning moon cycle. I should probably also mention that the energy that's going to be around at the moment is also going to be kind of affected by the Lionsgate portal energy, which began, the Lionsgate portal opened on around about the 26th of July, and it will continue until the 12th of August. So, you know, kind of midway through that that waning moon cycle. So that's, if you haven't already watched my video that I did on the message for the Lionsgate portal, then I do recommend checking it out, because I think you'll find it illuminating on top of whatever comes through in your reading. I sometimes wish these cards were a little bit bigger so that I could shuffle them easier. In fact, I'm going to be redesigning them because they don't come out very well on camera. They're not very clear. So hopefully in the future we'll have slightly better visuals on your, you know, on the actual geomantic figures themselves, so that it can be a little bit clearer for everybody. Okay, let's cut the cards. Right. Wow. So Aries, that's quite a positive start we've got there. So we're starting your reading with Aquarius, which is Jupiter in Sagittarius. So this was the energy of Jupiter up until about October 2019. The previous year or so, we had Jupiter in Sagittarius. So it's really kind of expansive, uplifting energy. This is about acquiring things, literally. So it's very often about almost like that 6 of coins, that 6 of pentacles card in the tarot, where there's this kind of as you sow, so you shall reap. So this is now kind of receiving rewards from the universe with regards to hard work and effort that you've put in the past. So perhaps you planted some seeds at the new moon, and you're keen to start sort of seeing some results. Okay, things at home are looking a little bit sort of stormy. This is your planet Mars, but in the sign of Scorpio. So this is Rubeus, which means red, literally. And as that implies, it can either mean kind of passion, or it can mean a certain degree of intensity and drama. And given that it falls in your 4th house of family, home and roots, I kind of think that there might be a little bit of family drama going on over this particular, you know, around about the time of the full moon. And let's face it, full moons are usually a time of kind of high emotional intensity. So I guess that's entirely possible. Especially if you think that the sun is in Leo, that can mean that others, you know, can generate a little bit of drama. Right, so interesting. Now, when it comes to personal relationships, this is in one-to-one interpersonal relationships. There's a fluid energy going on here. This is Via, which is the moon in Cancer. So this is lunar energy, so it kind of jives quite well with this particular, you know, what we're doing now, which is the full moon. So Via is about movement, it's about kind of momentum, it's about travel, it's about flow. So on some level, things are shifting when it comes to interpersonal relationships, particularly committed partnerships, financial partnerships, very important, significant others to us. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Wow. Okay, well that's really nice. So here in your 10th house we've got Puella. This is Venus in Libra. And here in your 10th house, which is either soul purpose or kind of your where you're headed, where you're kind of looking to in terms of future plans and goals, we've got this positive geomantic figure. This is one of the benefics in astrology, Venus, the lesser benefic. So it's all about improvements in relationships. So here it would be relationships with bosses or with the general public, because this is also the house of kind of fame and having a high public profile. So it can also be, because Venus also rules beauty and harmony, it can also be that there's some kind of career opportunity potentially crystallizing for you, manifesting for you, that has to do with either the arts, with jewelry, fashion, the beauty industry, or it could have something to do with interpersonal relations. So, you know, couples counseling or public relations, for example, event organizing, something to do with you know, galleries. That could be another one. But it does look as though you know, if things have been a little bit fraught with bosses or higher-ups or authorities, it looks like things are going to be sort of smoothed over. Anyway, let's get into, we'll get into your reading in more detail once I've done the conversion. So I'm just going to quickly do that now. Welcome back, guys. As you can see, I've done all the conversions, so let's dive deeper into your reading. So first up, Aries, I just want to tell you that this is a really positive reading, which I think should be a relief, because I think you've had some quite difficult readings recently. But it looks like things are on the up, so that's really good news. Possibly it's the influence of Mars now being in your sign of Aries, and also you know, it being Leo season. This, you know, I think this fire energy is probably benefiting you, you know, quite a bit. So anyway, let's start with the full moon itself. Now for you, this falls in your 11th and your 5th house. So this is the house of Aquarius here, in the 11th house of friends and social networks. This is where the moon is going to be, and it's interesting because we've got Puella again. So this is the lesser benefic Venus, and this seems to indicate that if you've had problems with friends, or things haven't been so great recently on social media, or professional associations haven't been terribly supportive, then this is about to change. Relations are going to improve. There's much more harmony, social harmony, when it comes to you know, friendships, and yeah, things are looking up. It may also be that there's some kind of group collaboration that will benefit your career, that it kind of materializes around about the time of the full moon. So that's good news. And then on the other side, we've got Draconis. So this is very fitting for a full moon. This is Draconis is the tail of the dragon. So this is about cycles that are ending. So given that Leo is in your 5th house of kind of lovers and children, as well as creative endeavors, I kind of feel as though you know, if you've been stuck recently when it comes to, maybe you've kind of been hung up on like a lover from the past, or there's been kind of ongoing drama with children, then this is slowly phasing out and will phase out during the 2 weeks of the waning moon cycle. So that's really good news. It could also be that you have, because we've got Rubeus repeated here in your 6th house, which is work and work colleagues as well as health, I kind of feel as though this 5th house Sun could also be about drama with creative collaborators, in, you know, kind of work colleagues, particularly if you work either in the leisure industry, sport, the arts, or gambling. That's the other one. Or kind of children's education, or something to do with children, because the 5th house does often involve children. So if you've had drama in any of those areas, then just know that it's phasing out, and will phase out slowly over the next 2 weeks. Just bear in mind though that before and after this particular full moon, we are going to have a bit of cosmic drama going on, which might sort of set a few ripples, you know, some waves through the sort of collective psyche. The first is a set of oppositions between Mercury in Cancer, so that is here in your 4th house, and the 3 outer planets that are sitting in your 10th house. So this is kind of highlighting differences of opinion, or communication issues, or yes, I think those are the main two when it comes to kind of bosses and work life on the one hand, where you want to go, your goals, your future plans on one hand, and then where you're either living, your domestic situation, or your current home environment or family. There's a kind of tension between these two things, and I think, if we think we've got Jupiter here, which is probably why we've got such lovely expansive energy here in your 10th, but then we've also got Saturn and we've got Pluto, and those two, as we know from January, from that Saturn-Pluto conjunction, are not the easiest of energies. So it could be that there's a boss, or somebody that's in a position of authority that's a little bit difficult, who's trying to be controlling, who's not very flexible in terms of their point of view, or who is very conservative and not open to new ideas. And then on the other hand, we've got Mercury here in Cancer, which can be a little bit emotive. It can sometimes be a little bit fearful, doubtful, can need a lot of reassurance, maybe a bit of babying sometimes. So you might just want to sort of be aware of that within the sphere of home and family. That there's this kind of pull. It's almost between, if you think Cancer and Capricorn are the mommy and the daddy of the zodiac, so it's between your kind of the part of you that is influenced by your mother, so that maternal psyche, that feminine energy on one hand, and then so it can be more nurturing in its positive aspects, and then there's the more kind of the male paternal energy, which is a little bit more stoic. It's kind of like chin up, put that wobbly chin away, crack on, pull yourself together. Nobody's having an easy time at the moment. This is not the time for kind of radical change, needs must, and all that kind of stuff. So it's trying to find a balance between those two extremes. And then the other important aspect that will happen just after the full moon is, and this one will affect you potentially more personally, is a Mars-Jupiter square. So this happens between Mars and Aries in your first house, and Jupiter here in your 10th. And Mars, when it's in negative aspect to Jupiter, can sometimes lead us to make snap judgments. We can make impetuous decisions, perhaps kind of go like bite off more than we can chew, think, oh, this is going to be easy, let's just go for it, we don't have to think things through too carefully, we'll kind of muddle our way along. No, you need to bear in mind that Jupiter is in Capricorn, and that's a sign that doesn't like risks, that's quite conservative, and that only really wants to take calculated risks. So I think there might be a need to sort of rein in that Mars energy a little bit, and if I'm not mistaken, Mars may be, if it's not retrograde now, it's going to go retrograde in a couple of months. So that's just something to bear in mind, that any action that you take now that's premature, you might have to remedy when Mars turns retrograde. So the key thing is not to sort of jump in with both feet unless you've done your homework and you kind of know that something's going to pan out, or you have a pretty good educated guess. The indications are there, kind of thing. But then aside from that, this moon, so the sun and the moon at the time of the full moon will make 2 aspects as well. So these will have a more immediate kind of impact. The Mars Jupiter square will be a little bit more long lasting. So this is first of all, we've got a T-square to Uranus. So Uranus is currently sitting in Taurus. So this is your second house of earned income, possessions, as well as skills and self-worth. So it could be that something that occurs at this full moon kind of knocks your confidence a little bit. That's one way to see it. It could also potentially lead to a change in sources of income, because Uranus can be about sudden changes, and of course it's in Taurus, which is about kind of material possessions and financial security. And given that it's sitting in your second house of money, it could be that that there's a change of income source, but it's usually very swift and there isn't too much you can do about it. It can be a little bit of a surprise, but you have to kind of like roll with the punches. But I kind of think in your case, given that we've got both Fortuna Major and Puella here, these are both quite fortunate geomantic figures. This is the Sun in Leo, and of course we're in Leo season, and this is Venus in Libra. So I kind of think that even if there are some sort of shock changes that happen, they're going to be to your benefit. They're actually going to maybe put you on the right path when it comes to career, because if we think you've got a bit of drama going on in your current job, Rubeus here, there could be some kind of long-standing feuds with colleagues, or a bit of boiling resentment, simmering resentment about working conditions, pay, that kind of thing. And so if there is a sort of a sudden change here, then maybe it looks to me as though it is actually for the better. Then the other thing to say is that the moon, the sun and the moon will also be making a positive aspect to Chiron. Now Chiron is also currently in Aries, and Chiron is retrograde. So this is about healing, emotional healing, possibly healing subconscious wounds or patterns, because of course that the moon is to a large extent about subconscious or sort of not gut feeling, but it can be about sort of primitive or initial responses to things, those kind of knee-jerk responses, which usually are motivated by subconscious beliefs. So when it comes to that, there is healing going on. So that may also be why you've got this much more positive outlook. And look, if we look in your 12th house of the psyche, we see the same thing. We see Jupiter in Pisces. This is Lightisha. Lightisha is all about joy, expansion, hope, kind of an opening up again. So it looks to me as though you definitely are, by the end of this 2-week phase, going to be feeling a lot more optimistic, hopeful for the future, happy within yourself, and that's really, really good news. So if you have been doing any kind of meditation, or you've done a retreat of some kind, I think it's really you're going to start to see how it is paying off in the next 2 weeks. So that's really, really positive. Yes, I mean the only really kind of negative card we've got in this reading is here in your 3rd house. We've got Tristia, which is Saturn in Aquarius, and Tristia is about kind of pain or suffering. Sometimes it's about grief, or kind of it's sadness basically, so it's a bit of depression. So I kind of feel as though, given that it's in your 3rd house of your kind of mental outlook, all the way that you in self-expression, it's positive. It's possible that there is a little bit of a residue kind of left over from the last couple of cycles that you had, particularly that lunar eclipse, where I felt that there was some depression there. But I think you've been working on it, and I think this is just the sort of residual energies that are kind of lingering. And I think, given that Mercury rules your 3rd house, they could possibly express themselves through this Mercury-Saturn opposition. So don't be surprised if around about the 30th of July, and then again on I think the 3rd and the 5th of August, if these issues kind of pop up again. But I don't feel that they are going to be around for very long. I think you're kind of working through them. So that's really, really, really good news. And then if we look at your outcome, again, positive news. We've got Fortuna Major, so a reiteration of this Fortuna Major here in your 2nd house, which is also echoed in your 8th house. So I do feel as though joint ventures with others, particularly if they are creative in some way, will pay off. This is about success, it's about serendipity, it's about good luck, about a winning disposition, being very magnetically attractive, so really attracting success and prosperity here in your 2nd house. So that's fantastic. And then we've got Acquisitio mirrored again, so really, really kind of mirroring what you're putting out into the world. I think it's kind of saying that what you mirror out into the world is what you will attract, because conjunctio is about union, it's about conjunction, it's about things coming together, it's about collaboration. So I really feel as though this is not about literal marriage, because this is quite fluid here in your 7th house. I feel that this is more about things coming together for you, and you working together with other people here, I think, particularly friends and groups, I think that that is potentially going to be where you're going to see gain, because Acquisiteur is also about gain. It's about, essentially, it's opening yourself up and allowing yourself to receive. So fabulous reading, Aries. I'm really very pleased for you, because as I said, the last few readings haven't been that great. So enjoy. Let me know what happens in the next couple of weeks in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button or the thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. Right, well, yes, I'll leave it there. Do check out the description box for other links that you might find of relevance to you, particularly to that reading that I did on the I Ching. I think you'll find that that also feeds into what I'm saying about you know, happiness and so on. You'll find that very relevant. But otherwise, all the best, lots of love, and I'll catch you again in a couple of weeks.